breaking news for your home. Wayday! Wayfair's big sale is almost here, and you can score the best deals in home. Like up to 80% off everything home. Yes, you heard that right. 80% off with free shipping on everything. Plus surprise flash deals all Wayday long. We're talking outdoor furniture and essentials, rugs, and more. All at Wayfair, and all up to 80% off during Wayday. Shop Wayfair's Wayday from April 25th through 27th.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Emotionally unavailable.
Are you getting better? I know you were not feeling great.
Yeah, I am. I have a little like cold, but I did not want to reschedule, so I was like,
No, you know what? So I had to cancel a whole day not that long ago, and then the next time something else came up, I was like, I cannot fucking reschedule this person again. So I just suffered through, but that's the season. Something's up. Sometimes I'm like, is this some interference? Like there's just like a block between me and this person. What is going on here? Because something like that happened yesterday where their computer crashed as they were logging on to record with me. And I'm like, okay, you'd be surprised how often stuff like that happens to me. That somebody else has something happen, or I do, or both of us.
so weird. I blame it on Mercury.
Yeah. Well, do you have Mercury prominent in your chart?
Kind of, because I have a whole Leo stellium, and Mercury is right in there.
Okay. I have Mercury in Cancer, but I'm a Gemini sun and I have a Virgo stellium.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I have felt energy like a Mercury retrograde this last couple weeks. Even though I know we just got out and whatever, and we just got past the shadow period, it feels almost worse now than it did then. So you do a lot of archetype work, and or at least that's what your profile said. So I've been listening to this lady for a couple years now, because listen, astrology was a slow game for me. Okay. And I can't even fucking remember my own chart half the time. So like, I love it. I look at my chart daily, but like, I'm just a baby student still. So don't let me pretend to be an expert. Just getting that out there. But I kind of like, I was raised super religious and then deconstructed from that and liked astrology. And then someone said, well, astrology is really more of like a blueprint. It's not like just this is your personality. So I started understanding my chart a little better. And it was the first time I had, I guess the way I would put it is like hope in some higher being out there. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, oh, okay, this actually makes sense to me. And so as I started to understand my chart better, I had gone to a medium somewhere in there, and he said things that were very triggering to me that I now believe in, but at first I was not ready. Like, like we pick our experience, things like that. But because I was there to talk to my dead parents, when he said, like, we chose our parents, I was pissed. I was like, ain't no way, bro. Ain't no way I chose them, okay? Because at the time, I just didn't understand what he meant. But it's been a really slow understanding for me. But now, I wouldn't be as at peace as I am if I didn't believe so strongly in astrology and all the other spiritual things. But I first started listening to this lady a couple of years ago, and that when I first started listening, a lot of the stuff she said felt pretty out there to me. And then the longer I've listened, it's not just her, it's just more understandings come. And I'm like, okay, so the longer I've listened, the less crazy it all seems. Though I do have sometimes a hard time admitting, like, I'll say whatever on this show, but if you ask me, like, in person, I maybe wouldn't say, like, all of my beliefs the way I do here, because it can sound a little crazy sometimes, But it was the first time that I really heard about working with archetypes, and I don't know how to do that, except for the only thing I've ever really been able to work with is, like, the archetype of the Empress in tarot. S so I don't really know. Is there an easy way to kind of explain what the hell that is?
Well, so I'm not really an astrologer either. And I'm honestly a novice level in terms of astrology, but I work with the planets as archetypes and use them as like kind of like what you're saying with the Empress.
Yeah.
But it's like Saturn or Venus or Jupiter or Mercury. So I treat them as because they carry like major frequencies or however you want to think of it. It's like they sort of represent a piece of the puzzle of like the human psyche, or another way of saying it is like they represent like a way of being, you know what I mean? And they're all
Yes.
really different and they're all really unique. And they also they sort of to me, the 7 inner planets, so not including like Pluto or Uranus or Neptune, like just the inner planets, the astrological inner planets. So I'm including the sun and the moon, even though they're not planets. Um, like together form like a full spectrum of like an individual's psyche.
Mm.
So it's sort of that I mean, that's how I see it. So between
Yeah.
all 7 of them, it's like everything that can be within a human, like every way of being within a human is represented there. And it's kind of like how the tarot is. Like the tarot, it represents like, all of existence, right? It's like all the different possible flavors of being. It's like a holistic, thing. So anyways, yeah, I mean, I just work with them literally, like, with ritual, you know?
Okay. What
Yeah.
kind of ritual?
Like, light a candle, read a poem, do some kind of symbolic action that's like, if I want to win at something, like if I'm in a fight and I want to win, um, I would maybe call in Mars. And then I would maybe, like, I'd have, like, 2 figures, and I'd have one of them, like, represent me and one of them represent my enemy, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
"Ding." And then I'd, like, close the ritual. And so that symbol is meant to kind of, like, tell my unconscious, my mind, my higher self, however you wanna think of it, like, "This is what I wanna have happen."
Yes. Oh, I like this. Okay. I'm going to take this into a different area for just a second. A, do you, do you, why am I hesitating? Do you call yourself a witch or in like witchy, anything like that?
Not really, but I feel like, I don't really relate to that word. That word doesn't I don't know. I don't, like, love that word. When I think of a witch, I think of something very, way more earthy. Like, I think of someone,
Yeah.
like, with herbs and potions and, like, I'm way more, like, psychologically, like, cognitively oriented.
So how do you label yourself? You don't? I mean, that's okay if you don't.
Well,
I'm
I
just
guess
curious.
if I had like, I guess, like, maybe I would say I'm a magician. Like, I do
Oh,
magic.
okay.
Um
Yes. Okay.
But not like a sleight of hand magician who's putting on a performance, so that can get confusing. I have actually worked as a priestess, so maybe priestess, but I don't, like, totally love that word.
Ah, there's times, probably only because of tarot, but there's times when I can like feel the embodiment of that word. Most of the time, not though. Like I'm not as drawn. Like I wear the Empress earrings a lot, but I have High Priestess earrings, and I've only worn them a few times. Like because it's there's this couple times where I'm like, yeah. But, like, most of the time, I don't know, divine feminine just really feels me, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I don't know why I was even asking you that. Truly, I had nowhere to go with it. I just was curious. But I was wondering, okay, let me remember. Shouldn't have asked you a question I didn't need the answer to, damn it.
You can ask me whatever you want to.
Well, I guess I'm just curious too, like when you I guess the reason I asked about the word witch is because I don't really know another name for where I was going, but I like magician too. But I guess for the audience, if we haven't already lost them, um, what do you feel like that's the whole point in doing the rituals is the subconscious programming, getting in a certain energy, kind of almost like being able to visualize it and almost embody it for a minute to program yourself to, be ready to receive that?
Yes, pretty much. I mean, people label me, like, call me a witch, and I'm not offended or bothered by that at all. I'm just like, yeah, cool, sure. I think so. I have a degree in cognitive science, which is all about like understanding the human mind. And
Mhm.
especially in cognitive science, I literally had to study computer science in order to get that degree because you really view the mind through the lens of like the analogy of the computer. I think the mind is different. We don't really understand the mind or how it works. Like
Right.
we study the brain and science tries to equate them, but there's so much that we don't know. And we know that there's a ton that happens in our unconscious.
Mhm.
Um, and that a lot of our decision making, happens in the unconscious, and also just that we have certain kind of like automatic behaviors, like programs that just kind of get triggered literally, and then they just
Mhm.
run. And we have a really hard time, like, we just don't have the willpower to control ourselves the vast
Right.
majority of the time. Even when we're trying to, often we can't. And actually, they've done really cool research to show that willpower is something that gets exhausted. Like, if you use it too much in one day or one session, you start to lose it. So
Yeah.
it's almost like a muscle, like it gets worn down, like your willpower literally gets worn down.
Quickly.
And
Like we have
so,
a finite amount. It's not even that much.
yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So like we So if we can get our unconscious on board with, like, what we're trying to do, and that's really what I see these, like, rituals as. That's what I see magic as. It's like getting the unconscious on board with whatever it is that you're trying to create. And so it's sort of like writing a little I see a ritual as literally like a program. It's like you have your
Yes.
brackets, you like the because when you do computer programming, you have to have like very specific syntax and structure and language, and but it's all about like what are you telling it to do? And so I see the ritual as having this structure where you're putting this symbol into your psyche, and we know that our unconscious is incredibly good at reading symbols and understanding symbols. Like, we're such
Mhm.
incredible we're brilliant at processing and understanding symbols. So yeah, I really see ritual as like we're writing a code for our unconscious, and we're trying to, like, plant it into our mind. But I also teach shadow work because there's also other stuff in our unconscious that's like, "No, that's not what we actually want." And so
Right.
I feel like a necessary piece of this is to unravel those things as well.
Ooh, I love that. Okay, I realized why I was asking this question because, for one, I want to, as much as possible, even though I lean heavily into woo woo, I like to connect as much to science and psychological principles as possible for the audience so that they realize there is a method to the madness. You can go as far woo as you want, or you can stay grounded in this dimension and get just as much benefit. Audience. So one of the things that I really came to in my healing process was like, no, I'm the magic here. Like like I have all the tools in me that I need and just that energy. So in saying that, in the last couple of months, because I've done a couple of rituals, but kind of lazy is truly why I haven't done more than that. That's really it. Like I wanted to do this sugar thing the other day and I was like, meh, and I just didn't do it. Sometimes I want to do it for the fun of it, and then other times I just want to like test some things. But I guess I'm wondering, maybe I should start doing more just for that benefit, the visual, getting into the energy of it. And do you think that's why those things can be so powerful, is because you're really getting into the energy of it, whether it's a little sugar thing or, something to do with plants. I've been asking myself, like, well, why do you want to do that? And why are you not doing it versus is it okay not to? And I've been like, I mean, you don't really need to, because you're going to create your reality regardless. But now I'm kind of feeling like, yeah, I really kind of want to, if it's going to help me to promote the energy that I'm looking for.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it does. First of all, I can totally relate. There's so much to do. We just only
Right.
have to do it. And it's like, what's going to be the best bang for our buck? I think, honestly, my own laziness, just for me, is like part of why I got into magic, because I was like, there has to be an easier way than trying to like brute force my way through life. It's just like not getting it done here. And so, but yeah, I do think that it can help. And I do think, I mean, I've seen, and I really believe that the more you can feel like in your body, like what it is that you're trying to create, the more effective it's going to be, because you're really like, because that's part of the symbol, right? You're really implanting, like, this is what I want to feel. And you're kind of, it's like you're showing your unconscious, like, this is what we're going for. And by allowing yourself to like feel it, you're really like grounding that symbol into your body. So I do think that that makes it way more powerful. And I think that it is really helpful. And I also think that, when it doesn't work, it's definitely like, well, what are your conflicting desires? What do you secretly actually want? Is it really this? Is this really the thing that you want?
Ooh, I hate that. I hate that question, because that's been the thing I've been confronting over, well, probably a year now, but specifically the last 6 months. Really, I knew that if my outer world was reflecting such financial stress, that somewhere I didn't believe that I was worthy of the things I was asking for. I knew that. And also my birth chart kind of says that. You know what I mean? So I was really working with that and doing lots of work. I really uncovered my lack of trust in myself. And then even more simply than that, I just last week, I was trying to like visualize a certain number of downloads for myself, because I can't go like really crazy in my brain to like, like I can't go, I'm going to win a $500 million lottery. I can't do that. So, like with the downloads, I'll try to increase it in my brain by like 5,000, 10,000. I was doing something a little bit more outside my comfort zone though, and I felt my nervous system respond. And I'm not great at the awareness of that all the time because, well, my natural instinct is to be in my head. And so I felt it and I was like, oh, I'm so happy to be aware that my nervous system was, kind of rejecting that for a second. And so I did this whole thing where I was like, hey, like, you are worthy of receiving. You are safe to receive. And like just mommied the shit out of myself for a minute. And it felt so good. And because I did that, I noticed other times when my nervous system was railing a little bit against something. And it's not that I never noticed stuff, but in terms of asking for things, I hadn't noticed like how strongly my nervous system says, oh my God, like we will die if that happens actually. And so that really tied into all of those things too, because not only did I not feel worthy of receiving, I didn't feel safe to receive at all. And it really made me want to double down on like all the work I do anyway on repairing my nervous system and just in general, just having a good, health there. But after years of, CPTSD, it just it doesn't take much, and then we've just gone through a traumatic loss, and so my nervous system's kind of fucked up right now, and so, like, I'm really glad to be able to notice some of those things, and I have noticed since I really started working on the worthiness part that things did shift, not as dramatically as I would like them to, but I also think some of that's the safety because every single time something exciting feels like it's like on the, horizon, oh, I freak out. I freak out and I will self-sabotage the shit out of it too. I've noticed that. And I'm like, girl, what? All of these things were just happening all the time and I just didn't even notice.
Yeah, well, that's the upper limit problem. Gay Hendricks wrote a book. I think it's called The Upper Limit.
Hey guys, it's me. Emotionally Unavailable is produced 100% in-house by me with no team. So if this show has ever helped you and you want to give back, subscribe to the Patreon. There's several different levels with different benefits in each. Check the show notes and you can see what each tier subscription will get you. I also plan to there's also lots of fun things coming down the pipeline for the Patreon subscribers. So get in early. You can get a workbook, you can buy merch, you can do any of the things, and all of that supports the show to help it keep going. Really appreciate every single one of you. I love you so much, and I can't wait to see what we continue to do together.
The problem about this, and it's so poignant. It's so true. It's like literally the sensation of getting the thing that we want triggers us.
Yes.
Like we're actually triggered by getting what we want. And so we avoid it. And then like the fact that you saw that though, without having like studied that book and like learn, you know what I mean? Like that you just saw that in yourself is honestly like really impressive. Just like really, really powerful self-awareness. Because that is exactly like I think we all do that. We have like a certain amount of receiving and we have a certain capacity for like what we're willing to experience. And a lot of times it's very limited to what we've already experienced. And we also, on the same note, we identify with those things. So like if I have the identity of like a broke person, like if I'm broke, like even just saying that, it's like you're creating an identity around it. And so your identities sort of your beliefs about yourself they literally emerge out of your identities. So if you're like I'm broke and you believe yourself to be a broke person, not like I'm experiencing brokenness, that's totally different. That's not
Right.
who and what you are. But if you're like I am broke, then it's like, well, what does it mean to be broke? Well, it means like you don't have any money, and even if you get money, you have to spend it right away, and like you can't hold on to it. And there's all these like things that kind of come along with that, and so then those are your beliefs, those like core beliefs. And so this is where I kind of get into like the shadow work, and I also do think that magic helps with this because you're basically. Yeah, you're using these symbols, these rituals to say like I'm a this person, not a that person. Like I'm rewriting the code of my identity, and just trying to like implant it into the unconscious because we're not even aware of it. We're often not even aware that we identify with certain parts of our life that we're just so used to, and we think that that's who and what we are.
Yes, and that just really reminds me of the way a child, they always take the most negative perspective and they're programmed to receive the belief that this is about me and my negativity and my defectiveness. That's why these things external of me are happening because I'm defective. And that's a whole identity that then that's your foundation and that is what you're growing from. And they do that in so many different ways. And so if we are taking on those identities still as adults without realizing it, yeah, your outer world's going to reflect those things. And so that's an excellent point. And I don't even know that one, in terms of identities, that hasn't been something that I've really tapped into. Uh, So that's a great point, and I'm glad that you brought that up. And I'm also just excited about the timing of this conversation because literally it's only been the last few days that I've been like, should I do more magic? Should I not? And it's like, I just know this conversation is meant for today for me to be like, yeah, I can definitely see. Because when I say a response from my nervous system, like, it's like a zap and it's like a chills and it's like, whoa. And that has always happened. Once I became aware of it, I can, in hindsight, see a lot of the other times that it's happened. But to have that happen all the time and not even be aware of it is insanity to me. And not that it's not normal, it is. I mean, we aren't like, consciousness is a process, but it's also scary and alarming to me that there's all these other things that I'm that unaware of, especially identities that I'm carrying. And like, even though there's labels of like, not worthy or deserving, deserving is a really big word in my, sphere, that I never viewed that as any sort of identity. And so now it just makes me want to go uncover all the other shit that like I'm hiding from. I'm like, oh, it's time to journal. What else is in there? Because I do a lot of shadow work, but, I've also been in this phase where I'm taking myself less seriously because of this deserving thing. I really was trapped, and I know this is religious trauma, but I was trapped in this world of punishment versus reward. I could not feel my higher power, however people want to label that. I say universe, but I couldn't, or even my highest self, I couldn't feel like I could just be. I was, in a lot of ways, even recently performing some things in efforts to receive, because if I wasn't doing it quote unquote right, I'm going to be punished the way I was taught that God punished me all the time. Except for, and I'm being so serious here, and I'm also embarrassed to tell you this, I was like, Saturn's punishing me. Like, that's what this is. Saturn is fucking punishing me because this, and this. And so I had to get to a place where I was like, what if you just leaned into the fact that like shit gonna happen? Like, take yourself less seriously. that was the phrase that like resonated with me, that like I could feel the piece of, and just like, you can just try your best and have a good outcome, and it not be this whole, am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? And that's the way I viewed everything. So polarizing. And discovering that it was still well within me to view things in that paradigm was really eye-opening for me, but it's really a struggle often to not feel like I'm being punished for something.
That is, like, really intense with the religion. I didn't have the religious stuff, so
Ugh,
I don't like, even
lucky.
just you saying, like, that God is punishing you, just my body wants to recoil at the like, even just the idea of that. Um,
Yes.
yeah,
It's
like, it's really
real.
yeah, it's, like, really core to my philosophy that, like, the universe. I also use the universe a lot, like, the universe, God, higher power, the planets, all the planets, like, all parts of oneself, your higher self, like, all of them want what's best for you.
Mhm.
Like, just 100%. I think, like, having faith in that is so crucial for me as a person,
Mhm.
because that's how I can, like, have trust as things happen in my life, and,
Yes.
yeah, and I do feel like so much of our life is, like, nervous system management. It's like
Mhm.
I just feel like I'm like a nervous system just, like, walking around, just, like, exposed to the world.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
God,
Yeah.
I relate to that so much. It's like, I almost feel like that's my face, like that, like, I can't believe it's not the first thing everybody sees about me, because it is right there in front of me all the time. It's the thing I'm the most attuned to now, which is a good thing. I definitely am so glad to be so aware of it, but it's sometimes exhausting to be like, I mean, especially when I'm constantly having to coddle myself, which I'm using that word and I don't mean it as negatively as it sounds, but like where I'm like, Melissa, you're safe. Like, everything's safe. Like and then sometimes if I happen to be working with a man, they get all pissy when you use the word safe and unsafe. Like, well, you feel really unsafe in conflict. I don't feel unsafe. And I'm like, well, you fucking do, or you wouldn't be responding the way you are. You know what I mean? But it's just like my whole world revolves around creating this sense of safety. And I'm always using that word. And I'm like, I have to create the safety for myself. I'm the container, just all the time. And there are times when it's exhausting. And I think that's why I was like, take yourself less seriously. But I like the way you said it too, where it's all for our highest good. And I have to lean into that a lot, where I'm like, it's not about punishment or reward or even course correction. It's not even about that, because I'm serious when I say I felt very afraid of Saturn for a minute. And I think it's just because my Saturn return was rough, and just all Saturn transit aren't always my, best friends. And so I was literally transferring what I felt for God onto Saturn. I mean, truly, I was really scared. But I've had to get to this place where I'm like, your highest self is already so proud of you. Like, cause I say a lot like that through experiencing tragedy and all the things that come with that, I had to really be like, okay, I still feel this deep sense of purpose and meaning in this life. And I want to double down on accomplishing whatever it was my little soul wanted to accomplish here. So I do make a lot of jokes, even though I'm being dead serious, about like just I some days I just visualize my highest self just like cheering for me whenever I, make it back, and being like, you did it, you did it. But already I have so much to be proud of, like I'm doing really good, and I am good is the thing. To my core, I know that. So that's whenever I'm like, you're not doing things to be bad. You're not, escaping. You're not running. You're just existing, and you have to do your best. And that's it. That's like literally all you're expected to do is to keep trying, and to try regardless of what's happening around you, to access all that joy and love that you've finally learned how to hold. Access that when as often as you can. But still that programming will sneak in sometimes where it's like, oh, am I in trouble? Like, oh no, what did I do?
It's so interesting because, we started this conversation talking about Mercury, and everything that I'm hearing you say about how you're trying to lean into like taking yourself less seriously, like is so, sounds so mercurial. Like to me, it sounds like you're trying to like lean more into that mercurial archetype, the lighter, more playful, and also just kind of like seeing things, more fluidly, which is a really big generalization of kind of what you're saying. But I do want to like talk about this Saturn thing for a minute because um I'm like really big on Saturn and Saturn magic. Um and yeah, because people are afraid of Saturn. Um
So not
and
just me.
Yeah, well, but I'm like, I guess I'm just one of those really intense people who, when I first came across planetary magic and like learned about it, the person who sort of introduced it to me was like, don't work with Saturn. And I was like, hmm, okay, I'm going to check
Well, that
that
makes
out.
me want to work with Saturn. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But what I found was because she was also like, our world is ruled by Saturn. Like our society is very Saturnian, so you don't need more Saturn. Like there's enough Saturn. But at the time, I was like, well, my life is a fucking disaster, and I really suck at like the world. So maybe I could use some help
You're like, I
with
need some
Saturn.
structure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started working with Saturn. Saturn has kind of been the primary deity that I've worked with. And I've really, it's been like quite an arc of how I kind of understand Saturn, because I saw Saturn as this really like masculine, sort of harsh, intense disciplinarian for a long time. And then I actually got into an argument with somebody who was like, no, Saturn is a woman, like Saturn is female, like a feminine. And I was like, well, really, Saturn is both male and female. Like Saturn is like the seed and the womb. Saturn is the 4D reality, and 4D material world is feminine. Like that's so true. And there's like a very masculine, but I was like, it's really both. Anyways, it got me then I don't know, just that kind of led to more and more Saturn work. I started to really lean into the feminine side, like the feminine nature, the more like grandmotherly. I think of it as like grandmotherly Saturn energy, which is much softer. Like it's all there with Saturn because there is like a real harshness to like physical reality. And Saturn is like, if you're denying your humanity, if you're denying your finitude, if you're thinking that you like, I'm going to show you the truth of it. But it's also like, if you face your fear, Saturn will reward you like so much. If you face your grief, Saturn will reward you. So and you know, Saturn is so dense. So Saturn is associated with the metal lead. And lead is dense, you know, it's considered to be like really dense and it kind of, and it's also poisonous, which is interesting, but it kind of gets like a bad rep for like how dense and like, blah. And that is what 4D reality is. But there's this side to lead, which is that it's extremely malleable. Like there's this malleability that we kind of forget about. It's soft. It's literally soft. And so it is dense and it's harsh, but it can be very soft if you're willing to like literally engage with it. Anyway, so I'm just rambling about Saturn, but I
No,
just
I'm
feel like
loving this. And it does make me feel a little less afraid because, like, as you were talking, I was like, this is what I've been hearing about because I'm an Aries rising. So Saturn has moved into my first house. And I was really scared, like, really scared because I was like, I don't really need anything else to go wrong right now, you know? And because what's interesting is Saturn in Pisces. When Saturn was in Pisces before, I lost my dad to a drug overdose. And then when it was in Pisces this time, I lost my son to an overdose. So you can imagine how afraid I've been that it was moving into Aries. But it actually makes me feel safer because I'm like, okay, I'm doing the shit I'm supposed to do. Like, I know for sure. Am I making a lot of mistakes? Yes, but that's a part of this. So I don't feel afraid. It's more like the things I was afraid of, like pissing Saturn off. I'm trying to think of what because it was like I'm super embracing of my humanity and the fact that I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. It was mindset. Like I was afraid that I was thinking incorrectly and that I was um maybe even doing magic wrong, shit like that, to where it was like the perfectionism of my fucking Virgo stellium was coming out here instead of other ways that it did. Like before, I was very harsh on myself about not being a perfect human, and my shame dictated everything that I did, and I was not at my core, I was a kind and compassionate human, but my outer world didn't reflect that a lot of times, especially like with the people closest to me. But as I've evolved, it's been the fact that I can't control my brain 100% of the time, and like that I'm just thinking incorrectly or feeling incorrectly. That's been my fear of Saturn. So framing it that way does make me feel tons better about it because I'm like,
well,
okay, I'm doing okay.
Saturn actually, so yeah, I feel like a lot of people see Saturn as this like really like harsh, like, you know, master with like chaining you down. And it's actually, though, like Saturn actually demands balance. It's like nature has balance. The physical material plane has laws, and you can't break those laws. So I feel like Saturn, if you try to do too much, if you try to be perfect, if you think you're going to be able to like time block every minute of your day, like Saturn is just like, that's not it. It's actually like, no, you have to honor your humanity. You have to eat, you have to rest, you actually have to take care of yourself. And this is where it is more this like sort of grandmotherly, like, but are you eating your dinner? Are you having your supper?
Right.
Um, Whereas Mars is more this like austere sort of like drill sergeant. Saturn is like, you have to be realistic. You have to be realistic about what you can actually do and what you're actually capable of. And then, it's limitation. Saturn is associated with limitation, but what I've learned about that is like we all have just like infinite capacity and possibility. And I feel like when you flip limitation on its head, it's like, it's not like, how am I limited? It's like, what am I capable of? Because that your true
Mm.
limitation is like, how far can I take this? What am I
Yeah.
capable of? Like, that's what your limits are. It's not like, no, you can, I mean, it has to be possible within the physical world. And that's what Saturn sort of demands of us. But, yeah, I feel like I have the most undisciplined mind. And I also will just be so hard on myself because I'm like, dude, how can you have such an undisciplined mind? It's really hard. Like our thoughts, they just do what they do.
Right. Well, I think for a minute, I think the reason that I really liked the phrase take yourself less seriously is because for a minute, the fact that I have some real natural anxiety, I manage it well, but I mean, the thoughts come up, and also my child who overdosed, that was like a fear of mine from the time he was born because I don't know if it was intuition, I don't know what, but it was like something about this child is just different. You know what I mean? Like I was always like, we just got to keep him off heroin because I could just tell. I don't know. And so I had to really like train myself to understand that like worrying about your kids does not equate to you being at fault if something happens to them. Like natural worries are going to happen. You do need to manage those because you shouldn't live your life, constantly in fear of something happening to the people that you love. But like if it does happen, it's not your fault. And so in some ways, it's like I really give myself more credit than I need to, like, oh, if my thoughts are focused on this, that's what's going to grow. And so really just kind of going, or like, cause I never just sat around thinking shit like that. I've never just like focused on it. It just I have a lot of fucking fears, but for good reason, and I feel like that would something on your profile. It was like when you were saying, I don't remember what you said, but I was like, you're basically saying what I'm saying, which is like, this is your magic. Like, whatever it is that makes you, your flaws, your goodness, all of the things that you can say about you, that's your magic. And
Mhm.
so that's something that I've really leaned into over the last year is like, I can love that about myself because that's part of who I am, and I love who I am. And, like, when I tap into my highest self, it's like, "Yeah, girl, we're good." Like, you're gonna keep on making mistakes, but you're gonna learn from them too. And so, it can be a real struggle, though, to feel like, "Oh, shit. I must have thought about that for 5 minutes too long, and now, something bad's gonna happen." And, again, nervous system. Like, I have to, like I was having some crazy-ass thought one day. This was not too long after Jake died, and I recognized, like, "Oh, I'm really dysregulated." So, I was in the shower, and I was like, oh, well, that was an interesting thought that you just had. I don't remember what it was, but I was really afraid of something. And I was like, well, that was interesting. So you're very dysregulated right now. Like, how can we make you feel safe? Because that's all this is you don't feel safe. And for good reason. You've just experienced like a very traumatic thing. So let's figure out our safety really quick. But now I'm feeling like that's part of my Saturn. Because, my Mars and my Saturn are both in Virgo. I actually think they may be conjunct, like a couple of degrees apart, if I'm remembering correctly. I know they're very close, but I can't remember because I've got three things there. But
Yeah, because
uh
you just hold it sounds like sorry, it sounds like you just hold yourself to, like, insane standards, and that is that Virgo there is just, like, you're just, like, in but it also sounds like you've learned how to take care of yourself. Like, it's
mhm,
taught you like, you hold yourself to these insane perfectionist standards, but then I mean, 'cause how interesting, both Mars and Saturn right there in Virgo, and then no wonder why you have to be like, "It's okay, Melissa, you're doing a
all
good
the time.
job, you're just doing your best. We're gonna fuck up again, but that's okay, we're just doing our best."
All the time. Literally all day, every day. All day, every day, I'm talking to myself about how it's totally fine that that just happened. And, like, my oldest son really has a hard time hearing me talk about, like, my forgiveness of self because I think that means something to him that it doesn't mean to me, and he just hasn't gotten to that place yet, so he doesn't fully understand what I mean whenever I'm saying that. But it's like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna beat the shit out of myself every minute of my life for all the things that I did in the past that is not me anymore. Like, that's not a version of me that I even recognize anymore. And I'm still really proud of her because she didn't even have all this information and she did the best she could, you know? Like, there were so many, yes, I fucked up so much parenting the boys when they were little, but there was so much I did right too. And so many things I didn't do that were done to me as a child. So yeah, like I forgive her. She didn't know any better. She yelled at her kids. You know, like that. Guess what? I still fucking yell at my kids sometimes. And now I just realize like it's not the end of the world. And sometimes I have to lean into like they chose me. They chose this experience and all kids are gonna get fucked up a little bit, you know. Again, self-talk nonstop. Nonstop. I have to like constantly console myself. But I'm kind of feeling like with those two planets being so close together, and hearing that Saturn wants balance, I it makes sense to me that the word integrity has really been, like, big to me over the last probably 4 or 5 months, where it's like, you can rest in the fact that you have integrity, that when you don't go for money that doesn't feel aligned with you, you will put your rest and well-being above almost anything. Like, you will do the hard things because it feels aligned. Like, that feels good, and I think I am being I am a little I have felt a little season of reward lately, but I'm just trying not to, like, think like that because I don't wanna feel like I was punished either, but I have felt like, okay, my efforts are paying off because while I didn't see before and I was doing a lot of this, but it was that mindset. I hadn't connected the 2 where I embodied it. Like, at the time, it was just like I was going through the motions. It felt like it was what I was supposed to do, but I hadn't quite learned the lesson. It hadn't clicked, if that makes sense. Like, I have to think something and then experience it for real and then integrate it. And now that's where I feel like I am is integration on a lot of those concepts. But for a while, I was just kind of doing what felt natural, but not necessarily with any understanding.
Well, yeah, there's just so much coming up here and like about with the polarity of like Mercury and Saturn because I really see them on a polarity. Mercury is like what is truth? What even is real? It's all just a story. Everything is just a story and you get to write the story. You get to decide what it means. You get to tell yourself what is going to make you feel good. Like that's your that and so you should. And you get to like cast your reality into existence with the story that you tell about the physical experiences that you're having, right? Because like all we have is just physical sensations we talked about. We're just like nervous systems going about the world. But then so we're just receiving these like nervous system impulses. Literally, we're seeing things, we're hearing things, we're feeling things with our body. And then we're making stories, we're making meaning out of it. That's what Mercury does. And so it's like choosing the meaning that makes you feel good, choosing the meaning that empowers you, choosing the meaning that makes
Yeah.
sense and reinforces like who you want to be and like what identities you want to have. And then on the other side, Saturn, because yeah, and so over here with Mercury, it's like what even is truth? What even is truth, you know? But with
God,
Saturn,
no, but that's so great because I say shit like that to myself all the time. I'm like,
I
I
know.
am so fucking connected to Mercury.
Yeah, but there, but you're, this is what I'm saying. I really see you holding this polarity so well because you are doing that. And even what you just said, where you were like saying how you're telling yourself these things that make you feel better, and you're not going to tell yourself the stuff that just makes you suffer anymore. But at the same time, you're talking about integrity, and what's like ringing for me is this Saturnian sense of truth that I think of as like truth with a capital T. It's like for Mercury, there is no truth. But for Saturn, it's like, no, there's a physical truth. And also there's a personal truth. There's like, what is true for you? And that is kind of what integrity is. It's like your truth is like all you can ever really do is honor your sort of truth with a capital T. And if you're in alignment with that, you're in integrity with yourself. And if you're out of alignment with that, then that's where you're going to come up against like major friction from the material world, from Saturn, from just like everywhere. And so it's this sense of like, but there is the physical world and there is this 4D reality. And there are certain like things that if you deny yourself, like your feelings, your grief, your pain, your like the truth of death, like it's scary because it's so heavy, it's so heavy. Like life and death is kind of the ultimate polarity. So you're really like holding both of those in just such an intense way. It's like both the integrity and like honoring the truth that like kerthunk in your body, like this is what it is. And then also though telling yourself the stories that support you.
Yeah. And what really came up for me as you were saying that was, of course, the meaning that I've assigned to my experiences has shifted as I've done some of that identity work and belief work. And, like I do feel safe and trust that I can make more lighthearted stories about things. And that as long as I'm in alignment with my truth, that can be enough. That my alignment doesn't mean perfection. It just means I'm living in my design. But the meaning that I have been assigning very much is determined by the fact that my subconscious programming was that I am not deserving, I am not worthy, I'm not good. Because that was a really big theme in my life because I used to be a very reactive person, so I really identified as a mean person. And I mean, I was a super people pleaser, so most people didn't see me that way, but my family did. Like my family of origin, like my grandma was a giant bitch who was, super narcissistic and constantly pitting me and my siblings against each other. And one of the ways that she really fucked me up was constantly telling me that I was a mean person. I don't remember how she would describe my heart, but she would describe my little brother's heart as like a heart of gold. Like, and he's giving and caring and kind, and you're selfish and you're mean, which were not, they were not true things about me. I was giving, I was caring, I was kind, but I was reactive to her because she was a bitch, like on top of all the trauma, she absolutely deserved the way I spoke to her because she was fucking mean to me. So, but I internalized all of that. So then as I've tried to unravel that, there are times it's sneakier where it infiltrates and I don't even realize it's there. I've unraveled so much, but obviously there's still deeper layers of that are just now surfacing because the deeper work I do, the more I'm going to uncover. But now, I like that. I like that you use the word intense because I feel like I'm a very intense person, and it actually really validates the fact that like I just can't talk to everyone. Like my social circle has really shortened, and I like it that way because if I can't have conversations like this, I'm not interested. Whereas used to I was just so like, gossipy and, complaining and just shit talking all the time and small talk, chameleon, whatever you wanted to talk about was fine. And now I'm like, oh, I'm not interested in talking about that at all. No, that's not gonna work for me. Because I do feel more, I guess, pressure sometimes, like a great responsibility almost to like live in my purpose. Like that's the meaning I assign to all of these experiences, specifically losing a child. Like I just feel a little more urgency. And with all the weird shit happening in our world, let's not discount the societal trauma that we're all experiencing, but like I feel this sense of urgency to not have meaningless conversations, to like stay in this energy as much as possible, where I feel very powerful in a conversation like this because I'm like, this is my truth,
Yeah, I do. Excuse me.
Man, I've had so much fun. You're gonna have to come back. Okay, tell us where we can find you.
Well, I have a podcast where I talk about magic, or this like planetary magic. That's called The Seven. And I also have a podcast where I talk about shadow work, which is called Penetrate Radio.
Oh,
So there's those are a great way. And then you can find me at lucybaldwin.me is my website.
what a great little website. I love your name. I'm sure you had nothing to do with picking it, but I just love your name.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I will make sure that I include all of that in the show notes. And I just really appreciate that you were here today. I had such a good time with you.
Me too. This was so fun. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to press stop if you'll hang out for just one sec.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for coming to Emotionally Unavailable. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and share.
Emotionally unavailable.
All right, that's it from me. So make sure that you check out the show notes for links. And until next time, let's all just keep swimming.
INDEPE and cut.